After realizing that my husband was spending more and more time with that woman and her child, I deliberately began seducing our neighbor Hudson. If my husband was chopping firewood and fetching water for that woman, I would persuade Hudson to do the chores for me. If my husband was eating meat at that woman's house, I would cook a feast at Hudson's, filling his home with the aroma of braised pork until he was dizzy from the smell. If my husband rushed to take that woman and her son to the hospital, I would gently knock on Hudson's door with a fragile and helpless expression. Chapter 1. In 1974, my husband Diego was finally promoted to battalion commander, and I was finally able to accompany him as a military wife, just as I had always wished. But after moving in with him, I noticed something strange. A woman named Julia was always seeking out my husband for help. No matter what she needed, my husband never said no. Every day I saw him chopping wood and bringing her water. At night I saw him rushing to take her to the hospital, running back and forth as if he were her personal servant. That infuriated me. But he was a soldier. Taking care of a fallen comrade's widow seemed reasonable. But was Julia crazy? Why was she always looking for my husband? There were so many men in the barracks. Why did she always turn to him? I warned Diego to stop helping that woman. If you don't help her, surely someone else will. But instead, my husband got angry with me. He called me selfish and said I had no compassion. He said, Julia's husband was my comrade. He died in service. I must help take care of his widow and child. And he continued, she's raising her son alone. As a military wife, you should help me take care of her. I immediately snapped. Is my husband the only man in this barracks who is her comrade? If she needs help, why does she always come to you? He shot back, Zoe, what nonsense are you talking about? If others were willing to help her, she wouldn't come to me every time she needed something. I insisted. Diego, why is no one else helping her? Are you saying all the other men here have less sense of responsibility than you? He became even angrier. Stop talking nonsense. Don't insult my comrades. They have their own families to care for and no time to help her. I was already furious. So our family is the only one that's not busy? Fine. Then first chop our own wood and fetch our own water. Just as he was about to respond, a soft and fragile voice was heard from outside. Diego, I've run out of firewood and my water jar is empty. I was furious like a ghost who won't leave us alone. I grabbed my husband's arm, stopping him before he could go. You are not going. He sighed impatiently. Zoe, she's not like us. She's a city girl. She's never done this kind of hard labor. I was deeply frustrated. Just because she's never worked, does that give her the right to order other women's husbands to work for her? We haven't even finished chopping our own firewood. You can do it too. Our water tank is empty. You're already used to doing that. My blood boiled. Chapter 2. Diego and I grew up together. We were childhood sweethearts. We both came from humble families. Before Diego became a battalion commander, I had lived in the countryside taking care of his parents and younger siblings. His parents were sick, his siblings were very young, so I took charge of all the household chores. Since there were many mouths to feed and few hands to work, I had to work like a man, earning 10 work points a day. With the occasional help from my family, we managed to survive. Over time, Diego's siblings grew up and life became a little easier. But upon arriving at the barracks, I realized that a woman had crept into every corner of my marriage. When I saw my husband rushing off to help her, I felt unbearable rage. I break my back working while he goes running to help another woman. Now, being able to work turns out to be my fault? I didn't want to speak harshly, but is this man really my husband? Diego doesn't even care for his own wife, but is willing to do anything for another woman. Was he kicked in the head by a donkey? I threw down the towel in my hand and went straight to knock on my neighbor Hudson's door. Hudson was the commander of the 1st Battalion, while Diego led the 2nd Battalion. Hudson had a 7-year-old boy named Lucas. According to the gossiping wives in the barracks, the child was his adopted son, the child of a fallen comrade. Hudson was single, had an adopted son, came from the countryside, and wasn't exactly attractive, so his marital situation was on pause. I knocked on the door. Hudson, sorry to bother you. Could you help me chop some firewood and fetch water? Just enough to cook lunch. I can pay you. Hudson looked at me with suspicion. This woman was known as the hardest worker in the barracks. She chopped wood, carried water, cooked, cleaned. She kept everything spotless. Even though she'd only been there for 2 months, her reputation had already spread. Even Hudson had heard some comrades complain, saying, "Why can't my wife be like Zoe? Where's Diego?" Helping Julia with water and firewood. Hudson's eyes narrowed. I quickly rubbed my waist, pretending to be in pain. I could do it myself, but I hurt my back yesterday. I can't exert myself. It hurts every time I try. Diego won't be back until the afternoon, and I still have to cook lunch. But there's no water or firewood, so I can't cook. I'll change clothes and go. I watched Hudson sweating in my yard as he swung the axe and smiled before heading into the kitchen. My back was perfectly fine. I took out the white flour I almost never allowed myself to use and prepared a big pot of homemade noodles. When the water tank was full and the firewood neatly stacked, I brought a steaming bowl of noodles to Hudson. "Hudson, I made noodles. Take them home and eat with Lucas. Thank you so much for today." Hudson looked at the big bowl of white noodles and hesitated. White flour was a luxury in those days. It was just a small favor. I can't accept a meal in return. I laughed. Maybe for you it was a small favor, but for me it was a big help. This is the first time since I arrived here that someone has helped me chop firewood or fetch water. To be honest, I find it exhausting. For a moment, I saw a flicker of compassion in Hudson's eyes. All right then. If Diego is busy and can't help you, call me. I pretended to hesitate, then smiled sweetly. How could I trouble you again? Even if it's tiring, I can manage. Now take the noodles before they get cold. I'm sure Lucas is hungry. Chapter 3. As expected, Diego didn't return until after lunch. Julia wanted to thank me, so she invited me to stay for lunch. Wow, how thoughtful of Julia. Of course, she's an educated woman. She knows how to show gratitude. I felt rage rising through my body. Because I didn't go to school, because I had no education. Did that mean I didn't know how to be grateful? Where did he get the nerve to say something so stupid? Since it was a day off, Diego of course returned to Julia's house to work for her. And me? I went to knock on Hudson's door again. This time I pretended to be a little embarrassed. "Hudson, I haven't been feeling well these days. You know, the usual women's troubles. Those days of the month I can't do heavy work and I have no water or firewood left." The man looked a little uncomfortable. Is Diego helping her again? I nodded. Let's go then. This time Hudson worked even faster. He finished before lunch and went home. I, on the other hand, cooked a huge plate of noodles with sauce. But this time I went directly next door. What's this? Just a little thank you, of course. Lucas, go get a plate. Today we're having noodles with sauce. Auntie is an expert at making them. The 7-year-old boy was already drooling. With a big smile, he ran off to get his plate. The man saw the child's eager expression and swallowed his refusal. It was the first time I had entered Hudson's house, and I immediately noticed how empty it was, just like the 2 men living there. After dinner, I picked up the boys' clothes that were scattered in the living room. The fabric was rough with patches sewn on carelessly. I removed the clumsy patch and embroidered a delicate leaf over the torn area instead. Auntie, you're amazing. Lucas looked at me with eyes full of admiration. You don't know how the kids in the yard always tease me for these ugly patches on my clothes. Now I'll show them who has the best patch. I laughed. From now on, if your clothes tear, bring them to me. I'll fix them for you. Thank you, Andy. You're the best. I'm going to show them right now. Seeing the boy change into his clothes and run out excitedly warmed my chest. But then I noticed Hudson staring at me. What exactly are you trying to do? I froze. Hudson, what do you mean by that? The firewood would burn even if you hadn't chopped it. There was still enough water to drink, even if it was little. And even if you weren't feeling well, You could have waited for Diego to come back before doing all these things. I tensed, surprised by his bluntness. How did he suddenly realize? Was it because I'd been too kind to Lucas? Did he notice something? I asked him. If you already knew, then why did you help me? Hudson replied indifferently, I just thought you were pitiful. I let out a bitter laugh. So, it's not just me who thinks I'm pitiful. Even you think so, Hudson. Don't worry. I have no ulterior motives. I just wanted to experience what it feels like to have a man help with household chores. And now that I've experienced it twice, I must say it's really nice to have a man's help. Now that everything's clear, I won't bother you again. Chapter 4. On my next day off, as usual, Diego left early to work. I stood near the well, watching from a distance as Hudson approached to fetch water. As soon as I saw him, I quickly picked up 2 buckets and staggered towards home. But just as I took a step forward, my foot caught on a stone. I fell flat. Buckets and all but strong hands caught me. I steadied myself and quickly stepped back, leaving at least a meter of distance between us. Thank you. I picked up the buckets again with difficulty, feeling the carrying pole bend under the weight. After only a few steps, I heard the man's voice. Leave it. I'll carry it. Stubbornly, I refused. I can do it. But Hudson didn't take no for an answer. Without a word, he took the load from my shoulders and carried it himself. Watching his broad back as he walked ahead, I couldn't help but smile. Later, while he chopped firewood in the yard, I went into the kitchen in good spirits to prepare a meal. It wasn't long before Hudson appeared and tossed a bag onto the stove. This is for Lucas and me. When it's ready, I'll take it home. Make Dalamian Lucas likes it. With that, he turned and went back to chopping wood. That afternoon, Diego came home looking annoyed. Today you let Hudson carry water for you. I raised an eyebrow. Yes. I almost fell carrying the buckets, so Hudson helped me. He said, don't let him help you again. It looks bad. I shot back, oh, but it doesn't look bad when you carry water for Julia. He frowned. That's different. She doesn't have a man. You do. I sneered. Funny. I don't feel like I have a man. That left him speechless. From now on, I'll carry the water. I smiled sarcastically. Now that sounds like a man. Sure enough, on his next day off, Diego made sure to fill the water tank before going off to work. Meanwhile, I went straight to Hudson's house to ask him to help me chop wood again. But this time I also stayed to cook lunch for them. I even cleaned their rooms, washed what needed washing, cleaned what needed cleaning. Seeing the spotless and refreshed space, I smiled to myself. Luckily, Diego hadn't chopped the wood himself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had an excuse to keep coming. Ever since I realized that my husband was willing to help another woman while ignoring me, I had already made my decision. I would get a divorce. But in these times, divorce meant being sent back to my hometown. Returning to the countryside to earn work points was not an option. So, I set my sights on Hudson. I would slowly integrate myself into his life until I had him. Until my future was secured. When Hudson returned home, he stood still for a moment, surprised by the clean and tidy room. Hudson, thank you for helping me again today, I said cheerfully. As thanks, I made lunch for you and Lucas and tidied up a bit. I'll be going now. You still have to cook when you get home. He looked at the food I had prepared. Stay and eat here. Chapter 5. From that day on, I became a regular presence at Hudson's house. The yard soon filled with rumors. Diego must have heard the gossip somewhere because when he came home, he was in a foul mood, his face as dark as a storm. Are you cooking and washing clothes for Hudson and his son? Have you no shame? I replied bluntly. Who are you calling shameless? This is called gratitude. Hudson helps me chop wood and carry water. I'm just returning the favor the only way I can. Unlike others, I do know how to be grateful. Besides, Lucas is the son of a martyr. How can you be so selfish and heartless? As a soldier and a soldier's wife, it's our duty to care for and protect him. Oh, by the way, give me your fabric coupon for this month. Lucas's clothes are full of holes. I'll make him a new outfit. Diego hesitated, avoiding my gaze. I snorted. Don't tell me you already gave the coupon to Julia. His face darkened. Her son's clothes were old. I just lent it to her, so she could make something. Lent? Are you sure it was only lent? Then get it back tomorrow. I just gave it to her. How can I ask for it back so soon? I sneered. Then what about the coupons from the last 2 months? They should have been returned by now, right? Diego fell completely silent. He looked uncomfortable, clearly nervous. I raised an eyebrow, so he still had a bit of shame left. That made things easier. Ignoring his discomfort, I continued. Give me the meat coupon too. I'm going to buy something for Lucas. And I'll take the chance to eat some myself. His face darkened even further. Silence. I narrowed my eyes. Don't tell me you gave that to Julia too. Maybe it was my scornful tone that provoked him. And what if I did give my meat coupon to Julia and her son? Poor things can barely eat meat once a month. Damn it, I was furious. I'd been here for 3 months, not a single new piece of clothing, not a single bite of meat, and all of Diego's coupons had ended up in Julia's hands. This damned man. I couldn't wait to kick him out of my life once and for all. But I hadn't secured my next move yet. He needed a few more days. Losing to a widow after having been his childhood sweetheart, how foolish I had been. This dog of a man enjoyed my care, while longing for the sweetness of another woman. Fine. It was time to speed things up. The next day, I saw Julia carrying a piece of meat home. And as expected, by dinner time, Diego had been summoned to help her again. Delighted with the situation, I went straight to Hudson's house. When he saw me appear at that hour, he assumed I needed something. Do you need something? No. I saw you bought meat today. Lucas said your cooking isn't very good, so I thought I'd help you cook it. Not very good? Since when did Lucas become so picky? Even so, he didn't argue. All right. When you're done, take some for you and Diego too. Julia bought meat. Diego's helping her cook. I said it calmly, without emotion, but I clearly saw something flicker in Hudson's eyes, and it wasn't pity. It was pain. I prepared hung shower braised pork in soy sauce. Hudson and Lucas devoured it as if it were the best meal they'd had in months. Andy, you eat too? Your braised pork is way better than my dad's. This is real meat. If my cooking is so bad, then don't eat it next time, Hudson muttered. Fine, I won't. Lucas grumbled. I'll bring my rations to Auntie, and she can cook for me. I laughed. All right. Just tell me what you want to eat and I'll make it. But Auntie has no meat. All the coupons go to Julia. Lucas frowned, confused. But the meat is so good. Why does my uncle give it to her? Enough. Stop talking and eat, Hudson growled, stuffing another piece of pork into his mouth. But even as he chewed, Lucas mumbled, We do have meat at home. Auntie, next time my dad buys meat, come cook it and we'll eat together. I smiled and placed another piece of meat in Lucas's bowl. Eat more. You're still growing. Don't just watch us eat. You eat too, Hudson said casually, placing a piece of braised pork in my bowl. I didn't refuse, but I ate it gladly. When I got home, Diego was already there. Where were you? It's very late. I went to Hudson's house to eat meat. Diego was stunned. You're a grown woman going to another man's house just to eat meat. Aren't you ashamed? Oh, really? And you a grown man going to Julia's house to eat meat. Doesn't that shame you? I was helping her with chores. She was just grateful and insisted I stay for dinner. I couldn't refuse. I helped Hudson and Lucas cook. They insisted I stay. I couldn't refuse either. Diego was boiling with rage. You're a married woman going to another man's house to cook for him. Where's your dignity? I answered immediately. You're a married man going to another woman's house to do her chores. Where's yours? He exploded. She's the widow of my comrade. I sneered. And Lucas is the son of a martyr. Now he was fuming. Zoe, when did you become so unbearable? So sharp with your words. I crossed my arms. Oh, really? Now you quote sayings. Then surely you know this one. If you don't break the silence with an explosion, the silence will destroy you. Well, I have no intention of being destroyed. So, I choose to explode. Hudson already pitied me. That meant I was almost there. And honestly, I was too tired to keep enduring this. Chapter 6. That night someone banged on the door loudly. Diego woke with a start, jumped out of bed, and ran to open it. Diego, my stomach hurts, what should I do? Wait, I'll get dressed and take you to the hospital. As soon as he stepped out the door, I ran to the kitchen. I grabbed a handful of chili peppers, swallowed them whole, and then drank a spoonful of cold water. Just as I expected, within minutes my stomach burned like fire. With my hair still damp from sweat, I knocked on Hudson's door. Hudson, my stomach hurts so much. Diego took Julia to the hospital, and I didn't know who else to turn to. Can you take me? I bent over, clutching my abdomen, sweat streaming down my face. Wait a moment, I'll get dressed and take you right now. Hudson quickly changed and offered me his hand to help me up. But the pain was really couldn't stand up. With no other choice, he bent down and carried me on his back to the hospital. The doctor put me on N4 immediately. Hudson, I already feel much better. When the 4 is done, I can go home alone. Go back. Lucas is alone, and I don't want him to be scared. Don't worry about Lucas. Just focus on yourself. He's very independent. When I went on missions, he stayed alone at home all the time. Even so, I already feel bad enough making you bring me to the hospital in the middle of the night. Diego is also here. Can you find him? He can take me home. All right. Wait here. I'll go look for him. 10 minutes later, Diego and Hudson walked into my room. Diego was surprised to see me with N4. What happened to you? How did it get this bad? It was just a stomach ache. The doctor said it's nothing serious. Once the 4 is done, I can go home.
Fine.
Then when you're done, go home first. I'm going to see Julia's in a lot of pain. With that, Diego turned and left. I saw the anger in Hudson's eyes. Hudson, you should go home too. I'll be fine alone. It's almost done, but I'll wait until you're finished and we'll leave together. In silence, I started to cry. Tears rolled down my face soundlessly. It was the first time I cried in front of Hudson. Seeing me cry made Hudson nervous. His words came out clumsy and halting. Why are you crying? Don't cry. Desperately, he searched his pockets and finally pulled out a handkerchief to hand me. I took it, but instead of calming down, my tears fell even harder. Hudson, tell me, does Julia have that I don't? Why is my husband willing to do everything for her, but doesn't even care what happens to me? Hudson looked uncomfortable with my pain. I'll go find Diego and bring him back. I shook my head immediately. Leave it. Julia has it hard. Tush's a widow with a child. Let him take care of her. When the 4 bag emptied, the stomach pain had almost disappeared. But the pain had been still felt weak, my legs shaky. As I went down the stairs, I almost fell flat on my face, but luckily Hudson caught me just in time. With no choice, he supported my arm and I leaned on him to keep my balance. And right at that moment, as if fate had planned it, we ran into Diego, who was also holding Julia at the hospital entrance. The moment Diego saw Hudson helping me, his face twisted with fury. What the hell are you doing? Let her go right now. Hudson, surprised by the unexpected encounter, answered calmly, Your wife is still weak. She needs support. Diego had been annoyed for a while by the fact that I went to Hudson's house to cook and clean. But now seeing me half leaning in another man's arms with his hand on my back, his fury exploded. Don't think I don't know what you're doing. You're a soldier too. You know perfectly well that interfering in a military marriage is illegal. It's immoral. That's when I lost control. Despite my weakness, I lunged at him and slapped him hard. Diego, when you help a widow, it's because you're an honorable man. But when Hudson helps me, it's immoralist, that it? If that's how it is, then I wouldn't mind becoming a widow myself. The area fell into a deathly silence. Diego took a while to react. His voice trembled. Zoe, are you saying you want me dead? I let out a cold laugh. And why not? Julia's husband died, and look at her, she's living wonderfully. She's got a man like you serving her, chopping wood, carrying water, doing her chores. You make sure she has clothes by giving her your fabric coupons, and you make sure she has meat by giving her your food rations. And what about me? I let out a bitter laugh. I have a living husband, and yet I chop my own firewood, carry my own water, do my own chores. I've been in this compound for 3 months and haven't bought a single new piece of clothing or eaten a single bite of meat thanks to you. If losing my husband meant living like her, then yes, I wouldn't mind becoming a widow. The crowd was shocked. For the first time, they weren't just looking at me. Now, they were also pointing fingers at Diego. Chapter 7. I ignored the whispers of the crowd and staggered back home. With so many people around, Hudson couldn't help me. When I arrived, Diego still hadn't come back. A long time passed before he finally walked through the door. Seeing that I was still awake, he frowned. Zoe, I want a divorce. Diego immediately flew into a rage. What the hell are you saying? After the scene you caused at the hospital, you still want to go through with this? Oh, Diego, that was nothing. I want a divorce. Stop talking nonsense. We're not getting divorced. I didn't back down. Write the report and I'll sign it. His face twisted with anger. You've got your eye on Hudson, haven't you? Well, he wasn't wrong. But of course, I wasn't about to admit it. If you won't write the divorce report, I'll go directly to the political commissar and talk to him. Diego exploded. Have you lost your mind? What are you going to tell him? That I shouldn't help Julia and her son.
Slap.
I threw a paper down on the table in front of him. If you won't write the divorce, I'll take this to the commissar instead. Suspicious, Diego grabbed the sheet and examined it. 10 questions, 10 answers, what the hell is this? He started reading aloud. First question, your own water tank is empty. Julia's water tank is also empty. Whose water do you fetch? Answer, Julia's. Diego snorted. This is ridiculous. Of course for Julia. You're perfectly capable of fetching your own water. I said nothing. He kept reading. Second question, you're out of firewood. Julia is also out of firewood. Whose firewood do you chop? Answer, Julia's.
He scoffed.
Again, obviously Julia. She's a city girl. She can't do that work. You know how to chop wood perfectly well. I stayed silent. He kept reading. Third question, both Zoe and Julia need new clothes. To whom do you give the fabric coupon? Answer, Julia. This time Diego didn't respond, simply kept reading. Fourth question, both Zoe and Julia haven't eaten meat in a long time. To whom do you give the meat ration? Answer, Julia. His voice began to falter. Fifth question, Zoe and Julia fall ill at the same time. Whom do you take to the hospital? Answer, Julia. Diego hesitated. I didn't know you were sick too. If I had known, I would have taken you to the hospital. I stayed silent. Sixth question, after both Zoe and Julia are discharged, with whom do you stay? Answer, Julia. Seventh question, if both Zoe and Julia call for you at the same time, whom do you go to first? Answer, Julia. Eighth question, Zoe and Julia both want to go to the movies. Whom do you accompany? Answer, Julia. Ninth question, who is your wife? Answer, Zoe. 10th question, how to be a good husband? Answer, take care of Julia and her son. Make sure they don't do heavy labor. Let my own wife carry water and chop firewood. Let Julia and her son eat meat. Let my wife eat grains and vegetables. Let Julia and her son wear new clothes. Let my wife wear old clothes. If Julia gets sick, stay by her side at all times. Diego's voice grew lower and lower until it vanished altogether. I looked at him coldly. If you don't submit the divorce application, I'll take this straight to the commissar and file it myself. You decide. Either you keep me by force and refuse to divorce, or both you and Julia lose your reputations. Choose. Diego clenched his jaw. Zoe, I thought you were used to this. I never realized. From now on I'll do my chores at home before helping her. I let out a bitter laugh. Even now, he refused to let go of Julia. There's no from now on. If I don't see the divorce application tomorrow, I'm going straight to the commissar. Diego was furious. Zoe, tell me the truth. Are you so determined to divorce because you have feelings for Hudson? I smiled. Who I like is none of your business. But one thing's for sure, if I remarry, it'll be to a man who brings me water, chops wood for me, and buys me clothes and meat. Chapter 8. The next morning, just as I expected, I saw the divorce report. I signed my name. Diego insisted on delivering it to the political commissar himself. I refused. What if this scumbag tried to trick me and didn't submit it? So I went with him directly to the commissar's office. The commissar frowned. What's wrong with you two? Do you think divorce is a joke? Commissar, we're both in agreement, I said firmly. Diego, do you want to explain it or shall I? Diego understood the threat in my tone. Commissar, our relationship is broken. We've discussed it. There's nothing more to say. The commissar looked at him with frustration. You're an idiot. The whole neighborhood envies you for having such a hard-working and virtuous wife, and you still managed to ruin it. I cut in immediately. Commissar, we really can't get along anymore. There's no need to try and reconcile us. I just ask that you process the paperwork quickly. I want to return to my hometown and start earning work points as soon as possible. The commissar pointed at Diego. I'm asking you one last time. Are you sure? I saw Diego hesitate and pressed him immediately. Diego, I don't want to drag this out any longer with the commissar. Diego gritted his teeth. Commissar, I'm sure. The commissar let out a heavy sigh, clearly annoyed.
Fine.
If you don't know how to cherish what you have, someone else will.
He turned to me.
Comrade Zoe, the divorce report is approved. I'll submit it and we'll process it as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Hudson had been standing at the door for quite a while. When Hudson heard that Zoe was getting divorced, he didn't know why, but something inside him felt strangely good. He watched as the two of them walked out of the commissar's office and went their separate ways. And without thinking too much, Hudson started following the woman. I felt a little nervous when I noticed someone was following me. But when I turned and saw it was Hudson, I relaxed immediately. Hudson, why aren't you at training? I had an errand to run. I just heard at the commissar's office that you're divorcing Diego. Is it true? I smiled. It's true. Once the divorce is finalized, I'll return to my hometown. These past months, thank you for taking care of me, Hudson. If it hadn't been for you, I might not have made it this far. I paused and admitted. To be honest, I'm a jealous person. I don't want my man spending his time revolving around another woman. I want him to pay attention only to me. Hudson, do you think I'm being unreasonable? No, he said, shaking his head. You're a strong and admirable woman. What will you do when you return home? Work and make a living. And when I find a man who's willing to chop firewood and carry water for me, who buys me food and clothes, then I'll marry him. Hudson seemed surprised. Is that all you expect from a husband? I was a little surprised too. Is that so much? Diego never did any of that. As we talked, we arrived at my house. Wait here, Hudson. I have something for you. Chapter 9. I went back into the house and took out a pair of handmade cloth shoes, one large, one small, from my bundle, and handed them to Hudson. When Hudson saw the shoes, he froze for a moment, hesitating as if unsure whether he should accept them. But seeing the hopeful look in my eyes, as if possessed, he took them. I should pay you for this, he said. Hudson, this is my way of thanking you and Lucas for letting me taste my first bite of meat in the family compound. No need for money. But when I return to my hometown, if you and Lucas wear out the shoes, you can write me a letter, and I'll make more for you. That time, I'll charge you. Hudson held the shoes in his hands, looking a little lost, then returned to his unit in a daze. A few days later, Diego and I received the divorce papers. That same night, I packed my things and knocked on Hudson's door. Hudson looked surprised to see my bag. Today I finalized my divorce with Diego. I came to say goodbye to you and Lucas. Tomorrow I'm going back to my hometown. So soon? Where will you stay tonight? I'll spend the night at the guest house and buy my return ticket in the morning. It's getting late, I should go. I'll walk you there. On the way to the guest house, a man suddenly stepped into my path. Comrade Zoe, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Romeo. I'm 30 years old and currently a company commander under Hudson's command. But I'm about to be promoted, which means I'll be able to bring my family to live with me in the unit. I've never been married before, and I think you're an exceptional woman. I'd like to start a relationship with you. I was stunned. I didn't expect to be so popular.
Hello, Commander.
I just got divorced. I haven't even thought about marriage yet. Then take the night to think about it. I'm serious. I quickly nodded and rushed into the guest house before he could say anything else. Romeo, you're too shameless chasing after a wife. She just got divorced. Captain, you don't understand. Zoe is beautiful, hardworking, and now that everyone knows she's divorcing Diego, several comrades already have their eyes on her. If I don't act fast, someone else will. After I managed to shake off Romeo, Hudson seemed completely confused. He lingered outside the guest house, hesitating. I had barely settled into my room when someone knocked on the door. Who is it? It's me, Hudson. Hearing his voice, I opened the door immediately. Hudson, what's wrong? Let's go out and talk. I followed him to the entrance of the guest house. Comrade Zoe, Hudson began seriously. My name is Hudson. I'm 26 years old. I have a son, but he's adopted. I've never been married. I'd like to start a relationship with you if you're willing. My family is from the countryside, but my younger brother takes care of them, so I have no burdens. I could have died of happiness in that moment. I thought I'd have to go back to my hometown and spend months writing him letters before he finally proposed. But this surprise came too soon. I quickly lowered my head, afraid he'd see how satisfied my smile was. Will you chop firewood and carry water for me? I will. Will you buy me new clothes and meat? When we get married, I'll give you all my salary and bonuses, and also all my ration coupons. You can buy whatever you want. If you agree, I'll submit the marriage application tomorrow. I kept my head down. Hudson, I just got divorced. You've never been married. I don't deserve you. I'm just an old bachelor with a son. I don't deserve you. I was moved, truly moved. I nodded. If you don't mind, I'd love to take care of you and Lucas. What was the point of playing hard to get? So, I accepted. Chapter 10. The political commissar did not expect that right after approving Diego and Zoe's divorce, Hudson would come running in with a marriage application. Applying for marriage right after the divorce? Don't tell me you and Zoe already had something going on before. Commissar, Zoe and I are completely innocent. You know perfectly well why Zoe divorced Diego. It was Diego who failed to value her, who didn't know how to give her her rightful place. And now that he's let her go, everyone's fighting over her. You know my situation. Commissar, where else would I find such a capable wife? If I don't hurry, someone else will snatch her away. At those words, the commissar finally relaxed his frown. Application. Go ahead. Commissar, has Diego and Zoe's divorce been approved yet? Why do you want to know? Commissar, you know I'm no young man anymore. I believe Zoe is an excellent comrade. If her divorce has been finalized, could you help arrange a marriage for me with her? The commissar burst out laughing. You're too late, someone already beat you to it.
What?
Who the hell got ahead of me? The man standing right next to you. Hudson, damn you. You stole my chance. Seeing the two of them bickering, the commissar threw them both an exasperated look.
Out.
Both of you out. At the door, Hudson turned back with a grin. Commissar, please approve my application quickly. As you can see, good women are in high demand. The commissar chuckled. All right, I'll take care of it. I stayed at the guest house for a week before officially registering my marriage with Hudson. When Diego found out, he was furious, but there was nothing he could do about it. A few days later, he and Julia also got married. Since we lived door to door, any movement in either house was impossible to hide. I watched as Julia gave Diego orders, sending him off to carry water, chop firewood, wash clothes, and clean the house. It brought me a certain satisfaction to see it, but I didn't envy her. Unfortunately, the peace didn't last long. Another of Diego's comrades died in service, and his overblown sense of duty came flooding back. So when I had free time, I'd sit in the yard and watch the chaos unfold next door. I sighed, thinking how quickly an unattainable love could turn into a nagging wife. Hudson was not pleased. "Why do you keep watching them? It'll only ruin your mood, and that's no good for the baby. Let's go for a walk." I smiled. "Fine, but you have to hold me. A neglected wife brings trouble. A domineering wife brings even more." As the years passed, Hudson kept rising through the ranks. Diego, on the other hand, remained stuck where he was. Watching Julia's increasingly resentful face, I couldn't help but sigh. Why don't women learn to love themselves? In the end, happiness is something you have to fight for.